2 Kings chapter 23. And the king sent, and brought together to him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king ascended to the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah, and all the ones dwelling in Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets, and all the people from small and unto great. And he read in their ears all the words of the scroll of the covenant, being found in the house of the Lord. And the king stood near the column, and ordained the covenant before the Lord, to go after the Lord, and to guard his commandments and his testimonies and his orders with a whole heart and with a whole life, to raise up the words of this covenant being written in this scroll. And he established all the people in the covenant. And the king gave charge to Hilkiah the great priest, and to the priests being second, and to the ones guarding the doorpost, to bring out from out of the temple of the Lord all the items which they made to Baal, and to the sacred grove, and to all the military of the heaven. And he incinerated them outside Jerusalem, in the plain of Kidron. And he took their dust into Bethel. And he incinerated the idolatrous priests, of whom the kings of Judah established, to burn incense in the high places, and in the cities of Judah, and in the surroundings of Jerusalem, and the ones burning incense to Baal, and to the sun, and to the moon, and to the Mazuroth, and to all the military of the heaven. And he brought forth the sacred grove carving from out of the house of the Lord, outside of Jerusalem, unto the rushing stream Kidron, and incinerated it at the rushing stream Kidron, and ground it fine as dust, and he tossed its dust into the tombs of the sons of the people. And he demolished the house of the male prostitutes in the house of the Lord, in which the women wove apparel there for the sacred grove. And he brought in all the priests from out of the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places, where the priests were burning incense there, from Geba and unto Beersheba, and demolished the high places by the door of the gate of Joshua, ruler of the city, of the ones at the left sides of a man at the gate of the city. Only the priests of the high places ascended not to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, for they ate unleavened breads in the midst of their brothers. And he defiled Topheth, the one in the ravine of the son of Hinnom, for a man to not lead his son and daughter in fire to Molech. And he incinerated the horses, which the kings of Judah presented to the sun, in the entrance of the house of the Lord, towards the treasury room of Nathan the eunuch of the king, of the one in the compound. And the chariot of the sun he incinerated by fire, and the altars upon the roof of the upper room of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah made, and the altars which Manasseh made in the two courtyards of the house of the Lord, the king demolished, and tore down from there, and tossed their dust into the rushing stream Kidron. And the house upon the face of Jerusalem, from out of the right of the mount of Mosoath, which Solomon king of Israel built, to Ashtoreth, the loathsome thing of the Sidonians, and to Chemosh, the loathsome thing of Moab, and to Molech, the abomination of the sons of Ammon, the king defiled. And he broke the monuments, and cut down the sacred groves, and filled their places of bones of men. And indeed, the high altar in Bethel, which Jeroboam son of Nebat made, who led Israel into sin, also indeed he tore down that high altar, and broke its stones, and made them fine into dust, and incinerated the sacred grove. And Josiah turned and saw the tombs of the ones being there in the mount. And he sent and took the bones from out of the tombs, and incinerated them upon the altar, and defiled it, according to the saying of the Lord, which the man of God spoke when Jeroboam stood near the altar in the holiday. And turning, Josiah lifted his eyes upon the burying place of the man of God, speaking these words. And he said, "What is that high rock which I see?" And the men of the city said to him, "The grave of the man of God, coming from out of Judah, and calling these words which you did against the altar in Bethel." And he said, "Let him alone. No one move his bones." and he preserved his bones, with the bones of the prophet having come from out of Samaria. And indeed all the houses of the high places in the cities of Samaria, which the kings of Israel made to provoke the Lord to anger, Josiah removed, and did to them according to all the works which he did in Bethel. And he sacrificed all the priests of the high places being there upon the altars, and incinerated the bones of the men upon them, and returned to Jerusalem. And the king gave charge to all the people, saying, Observe the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in the scroll of this covenant. For there did not take place according to this Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel, and in all the days of the kings of Israel and of the kings of Judah. For only in the 18th year of King Josiah this Passover the Lord took place in Jerusalem. And indeed the soothsayers and the diviners, and the teraphim and the idols, and all the loathsome things taking place in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, King Josiah removed, that the words of the law should be established, of the ones being written upon the scroll which Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. There was not a king before him likened to him, who turned towards the Lord with his entire heart, and with his entire life, and with his entire strength, according to all the law of Moses. And after him rose up not one like him. Only the Lord did not turn from the great rage of his anger, of which his anger was enraged against Judah, against all the provocations to anger which Manasseh provoked him to anger. And the Lord said, And indeed, Judah I shall remove from my face, as I removed Israel. And I will thrust away this city which I chose, Jerusalem, and the house of which I said, My name will be there. And the rest of the words of Josiah, and all as much as he did, are these not written upon the scroll of the words of the days of the kings of Judah? In his days ascended Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, against the king of the Assyrians at the river Euphrates. And Josiah the king went for a meeting against him. And Necho killed him in Megiddo in seeing him. And his servants conducted him dead in Megiddo, and they led him into Jerusalem, and entombed him in his tomb in the city of David. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Josiah, and anointed him, and gave him reign instead of his father. Jehoahaz was a son being 23 years old in his taking reign, and 3 months he reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah from out of Libnah. And he did the wicked thing in the eyes of the Lord, according to all as much as his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho moved him to Riblah in the land of Hamath, so as to not reign in Jerusalem. And he put a penalty against the land, 100 talents of silver, and 10 talents of gold. And Pharaoh Necho put to reign over them Eliakim, son of Josiah, instead of Josiah his father, and turned his name into Jehoiakim. And he took Jehoahaz and led him away into Egypt, and he died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh. But he assessed the land to give the money by the mouth of Pharaoh, each man according to his assessed value. They gave the silver and the gold with the people of the land to give to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was a son being 25 years old in his taking reign, and 11 years he reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother was Jebudah, daughter of Pedaiah from out of Rumah. And he did the wicked thing in the eyes of the Lord, according to all as much as his fathers did.